Okay. So out of there. I'm also clicking record. Recording in progress. We are live on YouTube. Anybody out there? Thank you for tuning in. We are back. What's the Line podcast?
Let's get it.
About to tweet it out now. Tweeting it out now. All right. All right, so I got all the transactions up in front of me. Let me also pull up season total wins and schedules. Rome, when we talk about these teams, can you I guess mainly look at the schedules, and I'll kind of like just give you the moves in the off season.
Yeah, I got you. Let me try to think that I'm gonna have my laptop with me right on the side. Does my video go away when I did that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's not gonna work.
Hey, it's got a screenshot of us on the television. I love to see it.
Oh, we live.
We're live. We're live on YouTube right now. What's the Line podcast, baby? Annie Up Consultant. We are here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We haven't officially started yet, but we are about to.
Got my hoodie on.
There's something playing in my headphones. I need to dead that.
All right, so I won't be able to do that because, or I mean, I will, but I just gonna turn off my video. So if you're cool with that, then I'm cool with that.
Drew, can you kind of give like a schedule, Phil, for these teams? I'll give you like the moves they made when we talk about them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. All right, I got the actual season total wins in front of me. So let's do this. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Gotta give the official intro. And we're back. Annie Up Consultant presents What's the Line podcast. I'm your host, the meticulous Mark P. I got a friend in Rome with us. Rome, how you feeling tonight, baby?
I'm all right. Checking in from Alabama.
Alabama, Central Time. We got
Roll Tide.
yes, Roll Tide. We got the prop guy with us. Drew, how you feeling today, baby?
Good. Dipset versus tonight, so.
Yeah, the verses is right after this. Y'all already know, man. We're not your average podcast. We're gonna keep it exactly who we are. We keep it very, hip hop, culture wise is what we do. What we do. So I love the fact that Rome is, drinking out of a plain cup because I am as well. If anybody wants to sponsor us, we can put something around the cups. Make sure that you're the one. So we're looking for advertisement. I always put that out there. So got some sneaky ones on the way. But this is still season 2, season 3, 37 days away. What's the Line podcast? We're gonna talk about week 1, deep dive, all of that. But today we are talking 2021 season totals for all these teams. It's 32 NFL teams. There's 17 games instead of 16 games this year. That's a big factor in these season totals. I just want to start there. I mean, Drew, how do you adjust to that? The fact that there are 17 games rather than the 16.
I won't think it will make a huge division. I mean, a huge difference. I think if you're looking to go to over on some totals, it could be of help. But seeing that how this is like the first time we've ever seen this, I think where you're going to see a lot of teams that are maybe already set in the playoffs and kind of resting guys go into that final week. So I'm not sure how that will affect your and the totals, but what we've seen recently, definitely in the NFL, where the preseason is getting less and less value, where like the first 2 weeks of the season are fake, like the preseason games. So all that to say, I don't think I have enough data points to even have a good feel on how that's going to affect some of the totals. But I definitely did have that kind of factor into some of my. I probably went over on a few more plays this year than I usually do, with that in mind.
Gotcha. Rome, what do you think about it? 17 games this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just piggyback on what Drew just said. I don't think we have enough data to even handicap this in a way in which anybody really has an edge. I think with that said, you kind of lean with your value plays. If you were going to lay, minus 130 on an over, or no, if you're going to lay minus 130 on the under, and the values on the over, and we obviously have, one extra week of play, that's worth it. But I also want to make a point to just be noted that, I mean, the books don't know what's going on with this either. So with that said, I would assume that they've, added a little bit more cushion on their behalf, like on lines, just like one random line that I noticed, it seemed a little high, was like the Cardinals at, I want to say it's 8.5, and they have the juice. The juice is on the over at 8.5, but the Cardinals are third in terms of future bets in that division, behind the Rams and the 49ers. So I think that right there is just the books throwing up an extra juice on a number as opposed to moving the number, because that minus 130 at 8.5 could easily be 9 at minus 110. So why are they holding on to those half points? Is going to be a question that's going to be interesting to watch down the stretch, specifically with those type of teams that we see going into the season as borderline teams like the Cardinals, teams like, the whole NFC East.
The Vikings have a line like that too. The Vikings that stay at 8.5 at the minus 150 though, which is like, why not just move it to 9?
Why not just move it? So it's like, and that it's very similar to, I handicap baseball often, and baseball numbers for total games, they can't fluctuate too high or too low, because they simply won't make sense, and there will be too much liability on either side of the line. I see that as what's happening here with these team totals. You got minus 150 when you could just move the line a half point, but obviously the books want to sit still on that line. And it's also, it's important to know that the first book that came out with season win totals on this new season this year, it was Circa and the Westgate. Everyone else is piggybacked or followed along after them. Right. So, Westgate being the grandfather, Pro Football sharpest books out there. And then, Circa, a newer sports book out there on the strip as well. They're pretty sharp with their lines. Having seen the industry follow after those two shops, it kind of lends me to think that there's a lot of question marks on the other side of the counter, as opposed to, how they should be putting out these lines. Because, like I said, minus 150, you could move it and get it at minus 110 at a half point difference. They're holding on to it like they know something.
Right. All right. Let's get right into it, gentlemen. We're going to start off with the NFC today, just because that's how the notes fell out. So we're going to start off the NFC North. Start off with the Bears. We know what the Bears have done. They got rid of Mitch Trubisky, MVP Mitch, this offseason. They drafted Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State. Tavon Jenkins, left tackle out of Oklahoma State. Signed some guys, wide receiver, Damiere Byrd, Marquise Goodwin, running back Damian Williams from the Chiefs. Also re-signed safety Tashawn Gibson, JP Holtz, the tight end, and they franchise tag Allen Robinson. Okay, their current total for the Bears is at 7.5. Drew, how do you feel when you hear that number?
I didn't have a great feel on the Bears. I think a big part of like handicapping totals is to know is staying away from forcing plays. And I think just with the field, me not having a great feel on that division, because I think when I was looking at the number, A-Rod was still in the outs. And then I didn't look at I had the Bears schedule in front of me, and I was trying to really see when their bye week was to kind of project when Fields wanted to go in there. But they're in a kind of subpar division, and they're probably the third or second best team. And I think just not having a great feel on the quarterback, maybe kind of stay away. But I think the Bears do have talent. If you told me Fields starting week 3, week 4, and like that was stamped, I would probably feel pretty good about making a play on them. But with that kind of too many things in the air for me to put some bread on it.
Yeah, Rome, how do you feel about this total 7.5 for the Bears?
All right, I'm gonna answer the question. I feel because I like the Bears this year, I do. But let me just answer the question in terms of that line. That's 7.5. I think I would play over before I would play under. And especially if that value, if it's an even line, minus 115 on both sides, depending on where you catch it. Cool. But is that line juiced up where you guys see it? Or do you guys see
Drew, I'll let you take this. I don't see the juice on my end.
Depending on the book, I still look like 7.5 is 7.5. It's got like a minus 115. I see a minus 115. I see a minus 120 on the.
Well, that's
under.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see a plus 100, plus 105 on the over.
So I would play the over if I had to play the Bears win total in that division. We're sticking NFC North here. I'm just going to stick with the Bears. I like the Bears this year. The same defense has always been there without an offense capable of scoring. So this year, I mean, if we remember the Bears from last year, they finished very strong down the stretch. I mean, they look sharp, and it was also how about this? They look sharp enough to where they were considering, or there was talks about re-signing Mitch Trubisky. Remember that Bears went on a stretch towards the end.
I do remember that.
35 points. And to be honest, that's how the Bears should have looked from the beginning of week 1 of 2019 season, when they go to Green Bay and lose that first game of the season on it. So this Bears team has been the potential team that people have just tailed off on because they said, okay, your defense can't do it and you don't have offense to score points. Well, now you got the quarterback, and that was really the only thing that was holding this team back from taking that extra step. And we mentioned that the NFC North this year is going to be too strong of a division. I like the under. Deciding on the Vikings win total because I don't think they'll be up to par and as good as they have been in recent years. Simply just finding ways to win games that were toss-ups. I think the Minnesota Vikings has proven to be that team in that division, for the past couple of years, winning those 50-50 type games. I think this year that team could be replaced by the Bears. Obviously, we think the Packers will be the division favorites, and the Lions we're not too much worried about. So it really comes down to that team in Minnesota and that team in Chicago. And if I'm big on Justin Fields this year. I think if he can plug and play and Nagy can get him in situations where he's not, he's already in a West Coast offense. So he's not going to be asked to put the offense on his back. It's going to be a lot of quick throws, timing, and game management type of offense. If the Bears can simply, be the Bears on defense and find a way to score points, more than 21 points in a game consistently, I don't see them having an issue. I will say, though, the Bears' skills, they're small. You got Mooney coming back, 2-year guy, small guy. Obviously you got big Allen Robinson on the outside, but in terms of stature and size at the skill position, I'm not too. You still got Tariq Cohen coming back, so it's just like a lot of small, scat, skill type guys.
Even Damiere Byrd, the pickup wide receiver, he's a small, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's we remember Damiere Byrd from the Carolina Panthers.
Sure do.
In a good year this past year. But I mean, we talk about size and being able to stretch the field in terms of physicality. The Bears do not have that, and I think that would be a very fortunate thing if they did have, especially with the rookie quarterback. So we'll see how that all works out. But I would rather take the over 7.5 before I take the under on the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears did go 500 last year, 8-8. So
and it's really because that late season push.
Yeah, they had Foles in there for a while, looking like a fucking statue. But for me, I would lean a strong lean towards the Bears over. Actually, we know the Lions are going to be god awful this year. And then when it comes down to the Vikings, I love my bestie Mike Zimmer, from the bottom of my heart. But from what I'm understanding, it's just like he's just very hard on a lot of his players right now with the the COVID as far as the getting the vaccine and stuff like that. They just had their first round corner from 2020, released him because of an indictment. So, and I'm speaking about the Vikings. So I think they may have a little bit more trouble. So I'll take the Bears. And considering that Chuck Pagano is gone as their defensive coordinator now, I expect them to improve immensely on defense. They've been kind of lacking a little bit the last couple of years. So I expect them to get better there, the Bears. And then when you factor in the Justin Fields thing, I think they'll improve. So I expect them to get over 8 wins in a 17 game season. So I'll take the over with the Bears myself.
Hey P, just wanted to jump in here. I know it's our first time doing live stream, live chat thing. So we just had a question in the chat that says explain what the juice is. So juice on a line, any line that comes out, if it's an even line, say the teams are even to even, whatever the teams are, I'm not even gonna throw names out there. Just think two teams, team A and team B are even. The line is probably going to be minus 110. That means $110 to win $100. And that little $10 difference on both sides, if the line is minus 110 on both sides, is what you would call the vig. That would be like just the casino's tax for you doing business for placing that $100 bet. Juice would be more tax on top of that vig for playing that specific bet. So you got a team, two teams that are even, we would say are even. And one team, is at home. They would have obviously the 110, both teams would have the 110 juice. The 110 vig, but the juice on the home team, their line will probably be minus 120 or minus 130. Those extra 20 or 30 cents on the line is what you would call juice. It's just an extra tax for doing business. So when you catch a line that has juice on it, that basically means that the casino or the sports book they're stubborn on actually moving the line. So they move the money around the line so that it all makes sense for them liability wise. So when you see juice, it should raise an eyebrow or raise a question to you as to why are they adding juice to a line as opposed to simply moving the line? If there's juice on a win total at 7.5 on the over, then they could have simply moved that line to 8 and put the odds back at even. But because there's juice on one side of that line, it brings some type of intrigued, extra value as to why is the sports book so stubborn to move this line as opposed to putting money on one side or the other. That's juice.
That's juice. So you heard it straight from the People's Champ Rome. That's what juice is. Appreciate you, Keith, relaying that message for us. So the next team we're going to go with the NFC North is the Detroit Lions. Already kind of spoke about their win totals at 4.5. They drafted offensive tackle stud Penny Sewell out of Oregon. They also got a defensive tackle Levi. I cannot pronounce his last name, but out of Washington. Obviously got rid of Jared Goff. Got rid of Matthew Stafford. Acquired Jared Goff. Tyrell Williams from the Raiders. Bashard Perriman, Jamal Williams as well, Quentin Dunbar. But what do you think of this team, Ron? The Detroit Lions this year, 4.5 is the total.
4.5 is, how about this? I don't know where. How about this? I see Lions at 4.5. I see 5. You can take both of them. I don't think it's gonna matter. This Detroit Lions team. For one, you have a first year head coach that's never been a head coach. Let's start there. And the tree that he comes from, he spent his last years in New Orleans, but he was teaching tight ends. He was coaching the tight ends in New Orleans. And to be honest, Sean Payton runs that whole show in New Orleans in terms of offensive, what's going on there. And they're not super technical in what they do. So you ask yourself, what is Dan Campbell's special? What's his specialty in terms of why they're bringing in here? Last coach, it was Patricia, and we thought it would be because, they need to address things on defense.
Yep.
Yeah, they were the Lions, and they've been the Lions, and they will continue to be the Lions under Dan Campbell. I don't think they get over 4 wins this year. I think they might hit the number of 4. I don't think they even flirt with 5. I think I think they get 1 win in their first 5 or 6 weeks of this year, and the rest is up for grabs. But you got Jared Goff, a guy who people have written off at this point in his career. he's going to have to prove it with a whole bunch of patchwork guys who have never really excelled and done their job. He's working with a B at best on their best day cast.
Right.
Terrell Williams didn't even play last year.
The Bashar Perrimans of the world, no doubt.
32nd pick of the first round was that 3-4 years ago, and then they just let him walk. And then Tyrell Williams, I don't think he played last year for Vegas.
No, he was hurt.
So you got to, your top two targets are a guy who somebody just let walk and a guy who didn't even play football last year. And Jamal Williams, he never saw any real action in Green Bay. So it's just a lot of patchwork and questions. I think their bright spot would be their last 2 first-round picks, that being Jeff Adu at the cornerback position and Penny Sewell at the offensive line.
Yeah,
I think it'll take some time, but I think they'll find a way to turn this culture around. But if we're talking about this year, it's the under on the Detroit Lions. So,
yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll go with the under here, but just because they got a lot of things to work with, and once it gets cold, I know Jared Goff in the cold, and I understand the Lions themselves playing the dome, but he's got to go to Chicago, he's got to go to Green Bay. It's going to be a lot for them to deal with. Got B minus players at best as positions, skill players.
On their best days, those are B minus players. Guys right there.
Yeah, but and I know, what was the running back out of Georgia, second year guy?
DeAndre.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift. For anybody out there that wants to as far as fantasy football, he might play a value, but the Lions, I'm going to take the under here. Drew, what about you?
So just looking around right now, I'm actually thinking about pull the trigger on this. I'm looking at a plus 104 under 5 wins at BetMGM. I think that's I think they're by far the worst team in the division. They by far probably have whoever, unless Andy Dalton starts, but Jared Goff is the worst quarterback in the division. I'm just looking at the schedule right now. I'm looking like I'm up to Halloween. And I see potentially 2 wins, and I feel I'm being generous.
Where are they?
The first potential win, I guess, could be at home versus the Bengals on the 17th of October.
I'd love to know who the Bengals play that week prior.
Joey covers.
Yeah, so I'm like
Joe Burrow.
I don't see where any wins are going to come from. So
no, I'm saying I would like to know. I'm not asking you to do this, but they would just be curious to know who the Bengals play the week prior to that game. Because if that's a letdown spot,
I got that. They play the Packers.
So don't let the Bengals pull up to Green Bay, give them a good shot, and find a way to get
It's in Cincinnati, though. In Cincy.
And that gives it more reasons to why they could pull off an upset like that.
And it's more just saying, and I'm just, without even do a deep dive, it's just like the Lions are not good, and like that's just being generous. If I'm just projecting win totals. That's the first win where it could possibly come. It potentially on Halloween 31st is at home versus the Eagles. And I think the Eagles are better than them. So I don't see where the wins come from. In terms, so I like the under 5 wins at plus 104 just on MGM. In terms of like I know we talking about touching the fantasy a little bit. TJ Hawkinson is going to have a huge year. He's
been used last year, yeah.
Golf is checked down. He's looking to his tight ends often. I'm looking at TJ Hawkinson's, not to get too far off track. Week 1 total versus the Niners at 46.5 yards. I think he's going to go over on that. It's probably the lowest.
I think he'll go over that easily. Because, who's golf on the outside?
That's the prop god. He just gave y'all a prop right now. That's a prop god. Listen, he just gave y'all a prop 31 right days now away from today. For week 1, he just gave y'all, and he likes the the Lions under 5 at BetMGM plus 104. Is that the number you got?
Yep.
I think we both like it. I'm gonna play it too. So a like is a play. If we say we like it, we're playing it. So all right. I like it.
It's a double like. I'll lean, so it's not a triple like, because apparently those don't do too well for us. But the next team is my bestie Mike Zimmer. The Vikings total is at 8 total's at 9. I see in front of me. You could shop it and probably get an 8.5 out there. But what they did in the offseason was sign cornerback Patrick Peterson, safety Xavier Woods, defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. I think he played with the Jets or Giants last year.
Giants, Roll Tide, Ramajama.
All right, cornerback Bashar Breeland, and took a fly on DT Sheldon Richardson, veteran defensive tackle. But yeah, as far as who they drafted, offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech, and then they also got Kellen Mond, quarterback out of Texas A&M. I'm sure Rome has many thoughts on that. As far as re-signings, they re-signed safety Xavier Woods. But Rome, how do you feel about this Vikings total at 9? Yeah, I'll say it at 9.
At 9 is exactly where I like it because I want to play that under, so I don't want to catch 8.5. Let's just make it known to all the people. The Vikings are one of our favorite teams to bet on long term the past 3 or 4 years. Mike Zimmer covers better than any coach in pro football. That is better than Bill Belichick.
My bestie.
So Mike Zimmer is the best coach in pro football in terms of our books, in terms of covering that spread. He covered the spread. What was it, 60? A little short of 60% past 3 years. That's top 3. Even if you want to stretch it back over the time he's been in Minnesota, it would go Zimmer, Patriots, and Bill Belichick, and then the Packers third in terms of teams covering the spread since Zimmer has been there. So best coach in pro football in the gambling world, Mike Zimmer is, and I think this year that's going to take a dip. I think last year, well, let's start with the beginning. When he walked into Minnesota, they were not high on. So when they were doing as well as they've been, or as well as we've known the Minnesota Vikings to be, going to that divisional game, going down to New Orleans, losing 2 years back to back, all those type of things, those were positions in which they worked to get in, if that makes sense. I mean, they were the dark horse, and now you're expecting the Vikings to be good with 9 wins in a 17 football game season. That's about on par to where it should be. And to be honest, if this team or this franchise organization is trending where Mike Zimmer has been trying to have them trending in the past couple of years, that total should be higher.
Right.
Because they've been persistent and consistent in getting more wins each and every year, and they've improved each and every year. And all of a sudden this year, now they have a flat 9 as their and like you said, 8.5 at some books. So I think the Minnesota Vikings, it's a very clear. This is my best bet in this division this year. It's the under on the Minnesota Vikings total win total. Kirk Cousins, we know we haven't Thielen. We know Jefferson's coming back. We got it. But I mean, this is like we said. We go back to what we just mentioned earlier. This is an organization that's low on morale. If you're not vaccinated, you can't be in the building. It's almost like a college program Mike Zimmer's trying to run there, and you can't run that with grown men who. How about this? Who don't really need it. If I'm in that locker room right now, I'm saying we've been this good for this long, and now all of us, can we give us a break? You know what I'm saying? We're going to get you your 9 wins that we usually get you every year. So the fact that we're getting all this bad negative news coming out of that locker room up there in Minnesota in terms of like firing coaches, and guys not being healthy, guys morale being low in terms of wanting to even play for Zimmer. We know Zimmer can yell and he'll have his voice shot by week 2, and people get tired of that. And so I think this is the end of that whole thing in Minnesota. I mean, it goes back to that field goal that they missed against Seattle in the playoffs. That's how long Minnesota has been overachieving. That was what, 5 years ago?
Right.
So I mean, it's winding down for the Minnesota Vikings right now, and that whole thing up there in Zimmer, in my eyes. So I'm going to go under. That's my best bet for this year. Under Minnesota Vikings total team.
Yeah, for me, okay, he likes it at 9, under at 9. So for me, I mean, I just kind of look at this Vikings team. I mean, I would probably just pass on it, in general at 9. I just think the number's right on par. 8.5, 9. I don't really know what this team is going to do this year, considering all those factors when we talk about with Zimmer and the vaccine talk. So I would actually pass this one up. Drew, how do you feel about this one?
I'm actually right with. I'll disagree with Rome a little bit. In the fact that I actually think they're a pretty good team. I think people are kind of underselling because losing like Danielle Hunter, Anthony Barr last year. I mean, that wrecked their defense beginning of the year. And those guys are both super talents. And so I actually think it was like, but I think but like I said, I think the number is right on the spot. The 8.5, 9, and there's not a lot of value. I mean, you can pay like a minus 150 for over an 8.5, and if it get like a 9, like a plus 110, something like that, then I'd probably pull the trigger. But just Nia does not. I think a big part of like playing season totals obviously is a second level. One, the team, and the projections, and then where you find good value, because we're here to make some money. So if there was a different numbers out there in the market, I may pull the trigger, but for me it's a pass. I think the numbers probably right there on target. I think people are a little bit lower on the Vikings than they should be going to the year. I think they'd be a pretty good team, but I think around 9 is right on target. So it'd be probably a pass for me.
All right, and next team we're going to get into is obviously the darling of the division, the Green Bay Packers. Not too much to talk about with transactions. They drafted cornerback Eric Stokes out of Georgia, offensive lineman Josh Myers out of Ohio State, and wide receiver Amari Rodgers out of Clemson. Got Randall Cobb, re-signed Aaron Jones, but we know the biggest of them all, Aaron Rodgers is back, baby. The win total is currently at 10. Drew, I know you have a best bet here. Talk to me. How you feel about this total?
I think we're getting a crazy discount with 10 wins. I mean, and this is one of the plays I factored into the 17-game schedule. I mean, I expect the Packers to once again like run this division. They like the way they've been owning the division. I think with the Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears, owns the Lions. I mean, that's 4 wins right there. At worst, I'm assuming a split with Minnesota. I mean, that's 5 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins in division off rip. And they're gonna give me one of the best quarterbacks in his last year in on the squad with him and Devontae going Jordan and Pippen. I mean,
last dance.
I think I think 10 wins is a level. I think that's. I actually like if you want to get sexy, I actually pulled the trigger on this too. Didn't give it as a best bet. But even I think if you go, you can find you see some 11 wins out there. Over 11 wins at plus 105, that was a very good option. But I mean, with that division, the 17-game schedule, and rocking with the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, I think over 10 wins is a layup. That's my second favorite. That's my second favorite play of all the totals.
All right, Rome, how do you feel about this Green Bay total?
Too much for this total. I think it's a lot to live up to. I think 10.5 is right on point. I think that's the number. Wouldn't be surprised if they go under. I wouldn't be surprised if they go under. That's why I'm staying away. So this is a leave it alone type thing for me. I think they got like Drew said. I think they have 6 wins off the bat that you can see, and I think it'll definitely come. The thing for me is if they get too good, they come out too hot. Now they're sitting those guys those last 2-3 weeks, and Aaron Rodgers. Who knows how if he wants to try out there and play in week 18? Who knows? There's so much stuff going on between Green Bay and that front office. Who knows how they would play that down the stretch?
But and with 10 wins, though, I mean, that's a low number. You need that to get the playoffs.
I agree, but no, more so what I'm saying is, if that division is low, right? If that division is low this year, and being the Lions are going to suck. I'm thinking the Vikings are going to be pretty down, and then the Bears sneakily play football, and now you got 10-10 coming down the stretch. This is stay away from me. I think they do have 10 wins on the schedule. Those 5 that Drew mentioned, plus the Bengals, that's 6 right there. So
I don't know. Joey covers.
They play it right. It's look in the past 2 years. I mean, Packers are going 13-3, 13-3. I mean, and the division's been. I mean, there's been 2 bad teams and 1 all right to a average team. The past 2 years, that's kind of been the NFC North motto. Packers going to run shit, basically. The other 2 teams are probably bottom of the barrel. I mean, it's almost like the Tom Brady we used in the AFC East. You get 4 or 5 wins off the brick, and so Aaron Rodgers is going to be in contention for the number 1 spot in NFC conference. So they're probably the reason why I think 17 games may actually help this number in this instance, that they're probably have something playing for something, maybe competing with Tampa Bay for home field, because Aaron Rodgers wants to run it back in Lambeau for NFC championship game at home. So I think they may actually have more incentive to actually go hard and cash that number early. So hopefully that's a Thanksgiving cash.
I agree with that for sure. Yeah, I do think they will have more incentive this year.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm taking the over on the Packers. I like it. So, I've already placed a bet. So I like the Packers over the 10 wins. Let's get into a division where, it's very local for us. I'm sure a lot of people tuning in are worrying about this division. So I'm going to get into this division and this specific team right now. Washington football team total is 8.5. What they did this offseason, we know they went out and got quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. From what I've seen, as far as the camp talk so far, he is going to be the starter. I don't know, Maul, if you're out there, you got any rebuttals there? But they picked up wide receiver Curtis Samuel as well. He's currently, I believe, he's on the pup list right now. They got back guard Eric Flowers, William Jackson III. They also picked up. As far as their draft, picked up linebacker out of Kentucky, Jamin Davis, offensive tackle out of Texas, Samuel Comsey, and Minnesota cornerback Benjamin St. Juste. So, that's kind of their moves this past off season. We know they were great on defense last year. Do we expect them to be better? Do we expect them to be worse? Total's 8.5. Rome, what do you think about this?
I think that line is right where it needs to be, and I would play the over before I play the under. The only problem with that organization this year is going to be their offense. If they can score points, they shouldn't have a problem. I think Dallas will win that division, but I think there's an opportunity for both teams to go over their total win totals. And I say that because Washington football team last year, we got it 8-8, but it was 8-8 on a down year in that division where the best quarterback in that division went down week 5 or 6. So, who knows how it is in Dallas. I mean, remember that game? I mean, in Landover where they're crushing Andy Dalton, not even picking him up off the floor. Dallas wasn't, low morale. Right. So it's like, that was Dallas at its very, low point of that year. But that's not going to be the same Dallas that pulls up this year. And to be honest, winning the division at 7-9 or 8-8, whatever they did last year, that wasn't impressive. But like I said, it's because they couldn't score points. That defense was great last year, and you kind of waddle into the playoffs with Taylor, Heineke. So that's how good that defense was last year. They had anybody plug and play in, right. And they win the division. I think it's very optimistic to think that will happen again in terms of like defensive success. I don't know how good that defense will be. That was 1 year of a good defense. We got it. We know the names. We know the faces. We know the numbers from last year. It's only been 1 year, so we got to see it again. And you need an offense. So there's a lot of question marks right now in Washington for me that just leave me on the fence about playing their over or their under. I don't have any leans really, but if I had some free money to place a bet, it'd be on the over. But like I said, I don't have too much for a team that has showed me 1 year of solid defense and no years of an offense.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna lean towards the over with the Washington football team at 8.5 specifically. I think this is a team that can be competitive in this division. I don't think the Giants are going to be too good. I'm concerned about the Eagles as far as a 17-game season. So I think Washington football team is going to compete with the second year in this Ron Rivera, defensive scheme. Just more, as far as like the defensive backs understanding, kind of what they need to do. We know Chase Young is a beast. I believe they just re-signed Daron Payne to an extension. So and the Fitzpatrick is the great equalizer. I think he should play well. He's got some big targets on the outside with Scary Terry McLaurin, and I think Curtis Samuel can play a factor. He can play in the backfield as well. Kind of get some stuff with him and Antonio Gibson going. So I'll lean towards the over with the Washington football team, the home team. Drew, how do you feel about this 8.5 Washington football team?
I like the football team a lot. I think this number is right on the money. The thing that was scary about playing an over in this situation is less about the team, more about the schedule. I mean, they played like a gauntlet of a home schedule. They get you rather play if you're kind of trying to predict the over under. You rather play your hardest teams on the road and kind of and get those games at home and rack up those wins. But their home schedule, you play the Chargers, you play the Chiefs and Packers back to back, and get the Seahawks later in the year to the AFC West, NFC West. It's a hard kind of schedule for me to kind of navigate and predict. So it will be a pass for me as well. But I think the Washington football team is in a really good spot. I think getting 7 wins last year with their offense was incredible. And fifth is going to be a major major boost. Yeah, a little bit off track. Because I don't have a total play for the football team, I do have a season-long total play for Chase Young, over 8.5 sacks. Year 2 is when you see pass rushers go blood. This is where they make their money right here. So Chase Young over 8.5 sacks is gonna be money in the bank.
Money in the bank. You heard it there from the prop god. Chase Young over 8.5 sacks.
Just an extra game to do that too. What's that on a regular season win total?
With the extra game with John Allen, DeAndre Payne, give one-on-ones. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, so there it is from the prop god. Next team, Dallas Cowboys. We know what the Cowboys are. Dak Prescott went down last year with an injury, week 5 or week 6, like Jerome said. So, drafted linebacker Michael Parsons out of Penn State. He's a baller. Cornerback Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky. And re-signed Dak Prescott, so that's a big deal. But I know, Rome, you got a feel on this team. I think you said you think they're going to win a division. So the current total is, let me see, with 9. Current total is, I see 9.
You see 9?
Yeah, I see 9. You can shop for the 9, buddy.
Just let me know what book that is, because I want that
right.
too. I see 10.5 some places, but I see plus money at 10.5. I like the Cowboys to win the NFC East this year, and I mean it's because when Dak went down as the number one football in number one offense in pro football, they had no problem getting up and down the field. They had no problem scoring. They had no problem converting on third down. This was an offense that was complete. To be honest, they probably didn't run the ball enough, but that was because they were doing so well in the air, and they fell in love with Dak throwing the ball 42 times a game for 413 yards and 4 touchdowns. So you get him back. Offense doesn't get any worse. Offensive line is still going to be the offensive line. And, you add Michael Parsons to the mix in terms of inside linebackers. And we know why they did that, because they're not going to pay Van Der Esch, right? They're probably going to let him walk.
Right.
And or take if he wants to be Sean Lee and take a cheaper deal, cool, because he's also had injury issues. The only thing that worries me here about the Dallas Cowboys is their secondary. It's a team that got torched last year in the air, and when you talk about run defense, that's kind of a will thing. You got to want to stop the run. You got to line up however you want to line up. And if you don't, want to beat the man in front of you to make the tackle, it's not going to happen. So I'm not worried about a team. I'm not worried about a team that struggled on the ground, going throughout a year in which I already expect them to be the division leader. So, if I expect you to win the division, I expect your offense to be as good as they are, your quarterback to be healthy, and you scoring points to you in ball games. I expect you wanting to stop the run and, coming up and making those big stops in the run game. So that's not of my worry. But the question is, this Dallas Cowboys secondary has been struggling for years at this point. They tried to address it with the cornerback from Colorado 2 years ago. Then they try and address it with Trey Diggs last offseason. He didn't look too good in his rookie year. So a lot of things need to happen on that back end. I mean, this is the same Dallas Cowboys that had Jeff Heath playing safety for, 3-4 years. And I get it. He had a good year breakout in Vegas last year, but they need some studs in that secondary. And that's what's going to take the team to the next level. They got the pass rush. They've always had the offensive line. They've always had Zeke back there. You got the quarterback who can be accurate and deliver and win close ball games. You got athletic linebackers that can run sideline to sideline. The only missing part in Dallas is the secondary. And in a pass-happy offense, that's pro football right now, that worries me. The only thing that really kind of bails me out in loving the Cowboys this year is the fact that all the other quarterbacks in this division are either young or not that great. So Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, and whoever they want to try out there in Washington, that will save the Cowboys. But, if they end up in one of these matchups, Chiefs or whoever they play off schedule that has an offense, just get me the over until they show otherwise. Because this is an offense that can score points on the Dallas side and a defense that can't stop anybody. So one thing's been proven and nothing's been proven on the other side. So give me the over on the Cowboys. I like them to win the division. They're favorited to win the division. So I don't too much love that, but I do like the Cowboys
Yep.
over the
And
win total and to win the division.
so that's Rome likes it. Oh, Rome likes the Dallas Cowboys over the 9-win total and for the Cowboys to win the division. Yeah, for me, they call me the meticulous Mark P for a reason. Cowboys, 9 wins. It's a total pass for me. Drew, how do you feel about this one?
It's fake a pass for me. I would probably lean towards them winning division more than they're over. Cause they may win this division 8 wins again. I mean, if you look at all the projections, the Cowboys have the highest at 9, and Eagles probably the lowest at 6.5, 7. So basically, they're saying that the division is pretty much closer. But yeah, it's a good position to rock with the best quarterback and a black quarterback at that. So, but what would get me, the reason why I kind of have some cause for pause, hesitation with the Cowboys, because everything that Rome said is true. Like they had the best offense in the league. They were clucking like that, and they were 1-4. And the one win they had was versus the Falcons, where the Falcons, I don't remember exactly what they did.
They shouldn't have won that game.
Yeah,
I know they did some wild stuff. And when Dak got hurt, they were losing at the Giants. Like they were about to be 1-5. So on paper, I mean the Cowboys, they should be run away with the division. But with Dak coming in, I know there's a point where he's already stopped throwing because he has like I guess some numbness in his shoulder, and
Right.
that doesn't get better. I mean, you can rest that, but you can go through a 17.
That's fine. He'll be fine with that. He just has to stop throwing so much because you're in training camp. You haven't been throwing as much as you are when you're in training camp, and you're working out your arm when you ever worked it out.
Yeah, and he's probably throwing more than he's ever thrown before with his lower leg injury last year. So he's probably throwing more there. So, but I'm not worried about Dak. Dak's not a problem at all. Dak is good. I'm high on Dak, but I just think that it's not a huge value for me. I don't see where the big value is. I would probably play them to win the division before I play the over on the wins. Because I think they could have won the division again at 8 wins. The division is still pretty close, but I probably would rather have the best quarterback on the squad. The offensive lines are a year older. Tyron Smith is going to get hurt. He's going to miss a few games. Zach Martin is probably going to get hurt and miss a few games. Switching the defensive scheme from like the 3-4 they were trying to do last year, which didn't work. It should help. But on the defense is the classic problem you see with kind of mediocre teams paying great bread to good players.
Right.
Like that's what you get with DeMarcus Lawrence. Great stupid bread, good player, B player. Jalen Smith, B-, B player, great bread. I mean, so I just don't. It would be a pass from me because everything that Rome said is true, but that was all true last year, and they were finna be 1-5 before Dak got hurt. So
Right.
I mean,
That's a good point.
Yeah, they're just, and I know Falcons did some crazy stuff. Like they should have won that game, but I just can't remember what exactly happened that game.
To me, this is the reason why I really like this play is because it's a prove it year for a lot of people on that Cowboys roster. Zeke, he already got paid. He's not looking, he's looking for something else. And he knows everybody's been writing him off, but everybody knows Zeke has looked burnt out for the past 2-3 years. He hasn't had that extra burst. He's in a big prove it year. Amari Cooper's going to be consistent. He's a professional. He's going to show up. Dak Prescott, prove it year. DeMarcus Lawrence just got paid. Got it. Show us why. Jalen has already been paid. He's already been playing on that new money. Show us why. And Van Der Esch is auditioning for his new team and his new contract. Show us why. And, Trayvon Diggs, not a strong rookie year. Why should we be looking to re-sign you after this year and lock you up as these premier cornerbacks do in their second or third year? So it's a lot of incentives and motivation that has nothing to do with the motivation they might have added in the year going forward. So I love we love playing player props on guys in contract years, so that's how I see the Dallas Cowboys team. It's a shit or get off the toilet type of thing for them and this entire group. They got rid of the coach. They said Jason Garrett was the problem. They hired this, Mike, and that hasn't looked so good. So he's in a prove it year. So it's a lot of.
Who do you think the best coaches in that division is?
Ron Rivera.
Yeah,
I agree.
So Yeah, I mean, prove it, Mike McCarthy. You're the only one with a Super Bowl ring in this division. Well, Doug has one, so
Doug is
I guess
gone.
not. But,
Doug is
Oh, yeah,
gone.
Doug's going. Doug's going.
so I mean, but I'm saying those guys in that locker room in Philly, they have them. So this Cowboys team, and to be honest, this is the Cowboys team that was supposed to have the ring before any team in this division.
Yeah, I think Mike McCarthy did an awful job last year, but I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass just because I mean, it's not like they were the only one dealing with it, but
just because you have Mike Nolan as a defensive coordinator.
I mean, that's on him though. That's that Good Boy Network. But with the COVID protocols going to last year, I think being a new coach on a squad put you at even more disadvantage. So I'm not. I mean, I don't think it's good, but I'm not gonna just totally write him off. And I'm gonna say this is a prove year. So.
Yeah. So next team I want to get into Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles win total currently at 6.5. We know they're going through a lot. I mean, Jalen Hurts looks like the starter this season, but I don't know if they totally believe in him. They drafted Heisman Trophy winner, wide receiver Devontae Smith. Roll Tide, Rome. Roll Tide. Center Landon Dickinson, also from Alabama. Roll Tide. And defensive tackle Milton Williams for Louisiana Tech. They also picked up defensive end Ryan Kerrigan, Joe Flacco, sneaky Joe Flacco, Kerryon Johnson, running back, safety Anthony Harris. I'm unsure about this Eagles team. 6.5 is a low number, but Drew, what do you think about this one?
I don't have a great feeling on the Eagles squad. I think they're gonna be fun to watch. I think there was rumors. Obviously, they're not sold on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But there's rumors that they were connected to A-Rod, Deshaun Watson, and so I hope that at least if Deshaun comes through, I want to see Deshaun Watson play this year. But I think the Eagles will be fun to watch. They have a good offense. I think their secondary is going to be little suspect still. I think they're probably the worst team in the division. But I mean, the whole division is right there at around 6, 7, 8 wins. So it's a pass for me.
Yeah, like I said, Rome, I don't really got a good feel for this one. I would not bet on this total.
Jalen Hurts, QB1 fantasy football players out there. Jalen Hurts, QB1.
Okay, look at Drew. He's throwing out some. Might take him off the board. All right, but Rome, how do you feel about this Eagles team? 6.5.
I have nothing for fantasy football or any of that. But I think Jalen Hurts. I mean, they don't believe in him, so he's gonna be out there trying to do everything he can to, be. Hopefully, how about this? This is all I hope out of Jalen Hurts, that he's not out there trying to play hero ball and hurts his own stock on a bad team. That team's bad,
right.
And no one's expecting that team to be too good. And the formula of having a bad overall team and a quarterback that's trying to prove his worth. That screams pick sixes down 14-0 in the first quarter, type stuff like that. So this is a complete stay away from me.
So one thing said, following your point, Rome, about Jalen Hurts, if the Eagles front office always show they're not 100% committed to him and the season starts off rough, a little slower, then a good thing to always factor into your season win totals when laying some money, because no one wants to lay money with and not hit. So, but you have to factor in the fact that the Eagles.
One more time, Drew, because I'm not gonna lie, that went over my head, so I'm pretty sure it might have went over somebody else's head.
Well, I was saying when factor in so the Eagles not believing in Jalen Hurts 100%, you can factor into your bet if you're looking to play an over or under on the squad. And if the Eagles start off a little bit slower, then they're already looking to 2022 first round draft pick Spencer Rattler. And so you have to factor that into a team's, if you're projecting 7 wins or under that number. So the team starts off 3-5, and now we're in November. Now you're getting real jeopardy, and now the team's looking forward to 2022. Now they're nicking the number 1 pick. So that could kill your bet right there. So that's for all those kind of factors. The reason why I was thinking with the Eagles this year.
So let me just get my little spiel off, because let me just get off now. I don't think pro football teams tank. Organizations do, players don't.
Players don't. Organizations do, for sure.
So when we okay, so let's just say all things are true that we both said. Organizations don't. Organizations do. Players don't. It just kind of filters out and evens out for me at the end of the
day. But check this. Last year, Jalen Hurts was playing well. They pulled him for somebody I have no idea who he is.
Oh, that made no sense. Yeah. They did do that.
I don't know what the
feel like,
was.
You know what? I feel like that's the argument right there. I mean,
it's just like, yo, the Eagles remember that. They're unfoldable.
No. I'm gonna tell you why I think that was different. I believe that was different. Let's say all things be, and that happens again this year. You have a first-year coach and a lame duck coach. That was the difference there, and that was the difference as to what it would be this year. Doug Peterson, how about this? That dude walks in and is the new Taylor Heineke of the division for that week. Doug's a hero. Doug. That division was so close that was a game for the division. They win that division with that game. They did do that. Doug Peterson is in the seat this year.
Did not. The interest did not align. He put in a backup quick. He just sat the starting quarterback. The interest did not align. So I feel like you have to factor that in when you come down to these season totals.
I'm not going to put my bread on. I'm not finna
exactly, and all of us are passing here. None of us are willing to put bread on it. So
we're done with the Eagles.
Yeah, let's just move on. The New York Giants total right now is 7 for the year. Re-signed defensive end Leonard Williams, signed wide receiver Kenny Golladay, wide receiver John Ross, Drew's guy, tight end Kyle Rudolph, running back Devontae Booker as well. They drafted Kadarius Toney out of Florida, questionable draft pick from some.
Baller.
You know how that goes.
Baller.
Yeah, linebacker out of Georgia, cornerback Aaron Robinson out of Alabama as well. But Giants season total is 7. I'll start with me. I will lean towards the under. I'm just really unsure about this Giants team as a whole. I heard they got in like a fight today, a big scramble. The quarterback at the bottom of the.
That's good. That's what we did when we went to. That's what the Panthers did before they went to the Super Bowl, right? That was Josh Norman Cam year.
That's correct. That's correct. But I can't rock with these Giants. I mean, Daniel Jones he's still out. Like, is he going to be a good quarterback or not? Kenny Golladay walks off with a hamstring injury today. There's no way I'm playing the over. And with 7 games. I mean, I would probably lean towards the under, but I'm just not, because there are 17 games and it's just such a bad division. I don't want anything to do with this either. So Washington football team is the only one I could actually play on in this division. Drew, how do you feel about this one?
So I like I put Brett on the over 7 wins. I put on that actually on April. I put on April 16th. So they had 6 wins last year, upgraded a lot of skill positions. Golladay was factored into that, and he is looking pretty suspect. But I think if you factor in the weak division, 17-game schedule, I think Daniel Jones is getting better. Saquon's coming back, plus weak schedule. I mean, running backs don't really matter that much, but it's kind of just more the fact that they have a lot of talent. And I like Toney. Tony's a baller. Kyle Rudolph is in there. And I think their defense is getting better. I think you had another year for Daniel Jones and Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's not a good coach, but he knows quarterback.
He's a great offensive coordinator.
He knows QBs. He knows offense. I give him that. And I actually think that Giants at plus 440 is great value for to win the division.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So, I mean, piggyback on everything. I love the Giants this year.
I like them a lot.
You asked me who the best coach in this division. It has to be Ron Rivera because of what he's done and what he's proven to do. But if we talk about, like, who's my favorite coach, I like Joe Judge. I like the way they're running that. It's no shit going on in New York right now. You want to play, you want to show up, you want to work. We're in the building and we're working. And to be honest, that was the top 5 defense last year.
But they were sneaking good on defense, and they're always good on the road.
A lot of takeaways, for sure.
Always good on the road. We watched them go to L.A., Jared Goff, that game really is what still won Jared Goff's future for me. When I watched that game, they were all over the place. I love the Giants over 7 this year. That's one of my favorite bets. Like I said, I was big on Daniel Jones. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out of that class. I still think he's my favorite quarterback coming out of that class. And he hasn't had too much to work with. So now you give him weapons, you give him toys, and these are old toys. Evan Ingram should have never been drafted as high as he was. He's not a true tight end that's worth that Kyle Pitts type of draft stock because he can't. He's Kyle Pitts, except he's an off-brand version. He can run the things, he can run the routes. He's not as athletic. And when you're that type of tight end and you can't block at all, that's why teams go and get a Kyle Rudolph, a guy who can anchor down and be a vertical threat. So you got Tony in the slot, you got Saquon in the flat, and do whatever. I mean, this is a giant offense that I'm looking forward to watching, and a defense I'm looking forward to being consistent again this year. They did everything the Washington football team did on defense this year without the names. So,
all right.
So, we'll see. I'm big on the Giants this year. Love their total team win over 7.
So both of these guys like the over. It's already played. I'm gonna leave that one alone. All right, so gentlemen, I mean we're an hour in. I want to jet through some of these, next ones. NFC South. Let's jet through this. Let's keep it real quick and simple. I'm gonna start with me. As far as the division goes, I know I'm biased here. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, but I love the Panthers over 7.5 wins. Reason being is just the defense. I think this is a top 10 defense, potentially top 5. They already had the Brian Burns and the Derek Browns of the world, where we saw Derek Brown come on strong towards the end of the year. And then they added Hassan Reddick on the outside, AJ Boye to help as far as the cornerbacks go. So they really and then they drafted J.C. Horn. So I think the cornerbacks are going to be. I think they're going to be really steady there, on defense.
And you didn't even mention Jeremy Chin, who's probably the best athlete on that defense.
Exactly. I seem to always not mention him, but Jeremy Chin, he was a baller last year. He did incredible things. I think he scored like two to three touchdowns in one game.
Super bad.
So I think Carolina's going to be good. Sam Darnold's the quarterback now. They, picked up Cam Irving, who, has his ups and downs as offensive tackle. But I think, playing in this Joe Brady offense, we've seen quarterbacks have success. Even Bridgewater when he was in New Orleans, and then we saw Joey Covers when he was at LSU in this offense. I think Sam Darnold could have a good year. Christian McCaffrey, we drafted Terrence Marshall. So I just think, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, I think we can get over that 7.5 wins. That coincides with the Atlanta Falcons under the 7 wins. They spent their first round pick on a, tight end. He has to put up Jeremy Shockey numbers in order to, really impress me this year with that, 4th overall pick, Kyle Pitts. So, those are the two that I really like in this division. I'm really unsure about the Saints and the Bucks as far as, their season total number. But I love the Panthers over, and I like the Falcons under 7 wins. But in this division, what do you guys like? Let's try to keep it quick.
Just wanted to keep it quick. Dark horse player, offensive player of the year, Sam Darnold. That's it.
Whoa. Wow. All right.
I mean, you talk about a guy in terms of I don't know if you guys remember Sam Darnold at USC, but there's a reason why he got drafted as high as he was. And I understand who drafted him, so who knows what work was put into drafting him. But he was electric, and he was electric in a spread offense. Now you put him back in a spread offense with a guy who doesn't care if I'll score 56 points for you. Joe Brady will throw the ball 78 times to score 56 points. And with a young defense that we think should be good, we think they should meet all the, let's just say they don't. The offense should. You got DJ Moore in his 3rd year, prove-it year. McCaffrey coming back, being healthy. Terrence Marshall out of LSU. So it's a lot of things that could go right in a very shaky NFC South for Sam Darnold to just pull up and throw for, 4,500 yards, and now he's in consideration of offensive player of the year. So don't let him beat the Bucs.
So you like this over as well?
Oh yeah, I like it. Yeah, I've already played the Carolina Panthers over. It's at 7.5, correct?
Rome, yeah, it's at 7.5. Rome likes it as well. So that'll be the play in the division for you. Drew, what would be the play in the division NFC South for you?
I didn't have a strong feeling towards anybody. Probably the Saints under. But I like the Panthers over. I guess I would lean over. I would lean the Panthers over. Sam Darnold's way better than he showed with the Jets.
Yeah, in New Orleans Saints, that number is at 9 for all those 1-0.
Yeah, no, so I'm sorry. Yeah, Saints number's at 9. I think that the Saints, our guys are gonna be. I think they're gonna be a middle row team. I think it's kind of like they're a 500 squad. They have some players that have a really good defense. That's gonna carry them by far. But I think just with the quarterback change, I just don't love what they got going on in the Saints right there. And it's gonna be a tougher division than the previous year before. I think the Falcons number is right on point. I think it'll probably be a little bit worse than the projections are, but I think they'll be real competitive. I like the coach they brought in there. He's a former tight ends coach at Tennessee, and he usually does really good things with offenses. So right. I think they'll be strong. I think the Panthers will be in every game, and I think Tampa Bay at 12 is probably a little bit too high, but I just don't. I personally don't like betting against Brady, so that's just a personal bias.
All right, let's move on to the NFC West. I figure we might talk a little more because this is such a tough division. Sound man, this one is for you. But out of all these teams in the division, it looks like the Rams have the highest total, which is at 10.5. San Francisco also at 10.5. We got Seattle at 10, and we have the what's the other team in this division? Cardinals. The Cardinals are
Rams, Niners, yeah.
Yeah, the Cardinals are currently at 8.5. But as far as this division, who do you guys think? I mean, as far as this
give
division?
me the under on the Cardinals. Give me the under on the Cardinals and the 49ers to win division. That's all I have fantasy wise.
Yeah, I'll lean towards that 49ers over as well. I think they have a good chance of winning this division. Trey Lance, I'm hearing, is doing incredible things at camp. He'd probably take over the starting job. They picked up center Alex Mack, re-signed Trent Williams, and your guy,
center in pro football.
And your guy as well, Kyle Juszczyk. I don't want to mispronounce his name. Sorry, Ron.
Harvard kid. Let's just call him the Harvard guy.
Yeah, the Harvard guy. But yeah, I'll take the 49ers over the 10.5 as far as this division. Drew, what do you got?
I like. So I think that when looking at totals, like this is a division where you would love to take an under because everyone is at. Well, 3 of the 4 teams are at double-digit wins, so that's not gonna happen. So like that's not gonna happen. Like there's no way that all 3 teams are gonna win 10 wins plus. So this is the division to attack when you're looking for an under. I didn't have a great feel. If you told me Trey Lance was starting day one, I think they may be in the Super Bowl this year. So, but that's kind of similar with the Bears. I just don't know when Trey Lance is gonna play. I think it's gonna be really good, but they play a very favorable schedule. I know they get the AFC South and they get the Titans and Colts both at home. So the Niners go over. I think the Seahawks probably is probably great. It's right in the number of 10. And if I had to, I would pass on the Rams.
Sure.
I would pass on the Rams. I'll go over Darrell Henderson, rushing yards, 550 right now, 550 and a half.
Yeah, fantasy players out there, Darrell Henderson is definitely going to be a factor.
He's a talent, and I like the over 550 and a half rushing yards for him on the season. And the Cardinals are going to be competitive every game, but they'll probably be the team outside looking in.
My favorite under bet in terms of under bets this year is going to be the Cardinals.
Cardinals. I would think it's the Seahawks for me at 10.
I just think that Cardinals line is exactly where it's. I get the Seahawks. I feel that, but I'm more so. Yeah. I feel that for sure. I'm not going to disagree with that. But the reason I like the Cardinals line better, and you know me, I'm more so like. I don't know why, but I love betting on values that are just like. I like betting on very sharp lines, and I think that Seahawks line isn't that sharp at 10. I think that line should be more like 9.
Right.
So I don't even want to flirt with that. However, I think the Cardinals line at 8.5, I think that's spot on. I want to handicap spot on lines because at 10, the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks have the most. We're playing an extra game this year, one more win added to the total type of line.
Right.
Because I don't think the Seahawks showed to be a 10-win team last year. They struggled down the stretch. They had glimpses of looking like the old Seahawks. But let's be real. I mean, Russell Wilson is running for his life. They said they took the old line. I mean, you could barely tell. So, I'm just not big on the Seahawks this year. But I don't want to play that under or over more so because that line is a little bit more loose. I like the accuracy of that Cardinals line. I think they're going to be an under team this year. Give me that one.
Gotcha. So that's how we were ranking this division. So I think we both lean, Roman and I lean towards the under on the Seahawks. Also the same on the 49ers over. Is that correct, Rome?
I like them to win the division, only because you get $3 extra with them, and I'm just being a pet peeve is because the
Fair
Rams are
enough.
at plus 195, 49ers at plus 200. So I'll take the 49ers.
Rome, the value guy, the people's champ. And Drew, just what was your for this division? What was your plays in this one?
I said I think that Seahawks is right there. I'd rather have my bread on the Niners, but I just don't know when Lance is going to play, so I pass on them as well. Rams probably go under, I think, under 10.5. And the Cardinals probably on the outside looking in. I haven't looked at. I have a great feel on any of the squads. I didn't really look deep dive into the actual numbers themselves, but I would look at of those three teams that have 10 wins. If any of the unders have plus money, I pull the trigger on that.
All right, so let's get right into the AFC North. Another, I think, local division as far as we go. We're reporting live from Prince George. Oh, I guess we're all over the place. I'm Prince George's County, Maryland. Rome's in Alabama. Drew's in Columbia, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so the Ravens, AFC North Ravens, their total is currently sitting at 11. Lamar Jackson is back. His rushing game was crazy last year. Shout out to Drew for a lot of those props. But they drafted
right back actually.
Yeah, they drafted wide receiver Rashad Bateman. I saw him make a pretty good catch the other day in camp. As well as linebacker Odafe Awe out of Penn State. And then they signed wide receiver Sammy Watkins, Alejandro Villanueva out of Pittsburgh, and defensive end Justin Houston. Re-signed Derek Wolfe, Nick Boyle, that blocking tight end. And I feel like they also picked up another tight end. I might be tripping, but Drew, how do you feel about this? The Ravens in general.
I think Drew just stepped off, but I just want to jump on the Ravens right quick. I think the only way that I play the Ravens this year is to win the Super Bowl. That's it. Because why flirt with a team that has produced, and to be honest, they've overachieved with Lamar Jackson at quarterback the past couple of years. Why flirt with that? What's that, 11?
Right.
You see 11? You could win this division with 10 games this year. I think this division will be pretty down this year. The Bengals going to win it. The Steelers going to get a last push. I don't think so. So I don't even think the Ravens have incentive to get to that over 11. That means they got to win 12. Shit, they barely been doing that. And their style of play is so physical that there's a Ravens team that I could see losing more games than they have in previous years, but still making it to the Super Bowl. But you can't run the ball and bully the next team for 18 weeks in a row and expect for them to go over a win total. So I think this is a down year in terms of Steelers. Question mark on Bengals. We know Mike Thomas never gone, under whatever. I think that might change this year. Who knows what we're getting out of Big Ben and that team. And then the Browns, who I would say is the sexiest pick in this division, only because they're not favorites. And they were strong last year. So I don't want to touch the number one favorite in this division, that being the Ravens. If I play the Ravens, it's Super Bowl or bust for me. And I think that's kind of how the Ravens are looking at this year. So that's where I'm at with the Ravens. I don't really want them to on their season total win over.
Yeah, I feel similar. I mean, I feel like 11 is kind of on par. I can see them winning 12 games, but I don't, 13-3. I mean, it's tough to, kind of keep doing that. I do like the 2 tight end set that they're going to get back to, but I'm not going to play it at this number over or the under. But Drew, what do you think about this total at 11 for the Ravens?
Ravens, I think it's right in the money. I think Ravens have been really money makers for me. I would probably go. It's hard to kind of forecast because they still don't have that much talent on offense. And that's the number one thing. Just get a little more like a wide receiver. Like, you got like playoff Mark Andrews out there running around all the time. Like, and then
Sammy will look good in week 1.
No, Sammy is should be the number 1 option, probably number 3 option. But Hollywood's out there on the side. Duvernay probably should have a better year. But even those cats, I just don't love their options on offense. Their defense is going to be ballers. If you want to see the Ravens over, a nice angle to look at is they do the least amount of traveling of any team this year. So I mean, their home schedule is very nice, and they travel about 1,000 miles less than any other team this year. Is the kind of way the schedule works. So.
All right. So, I mean, what about the rest of this division? The Browns currently at 10.5. Looks like the Steelers are at 8.5, and the Bengals are down there at 6.5. What do you guys think about the rest of this division?
The only other play that I have for this division will be under on the Steelers win total. Anything else I'm not touching.
Yeah, I would probably. I mean, I'm a big fan of Mike Tomlin. I think the Steelers probably have something left in the tank, but the over is not like you're not getting great value either way. So I would kind of leave it alone. Bengals, they still haven't. You can't factor in not having any offensive line because they're probably the second most talented team in the division just on paper in terms of skill.
But they have no offensive line.
They have no offensive line, so it doesn't matter. So I mean, because they drafted who they draft Chase Jamar.
That was the dumbest thing. They should have went and got Sewell and then got another.
That draft pick. Sewell was right there for the taking. It was just
get Sewell, then go back and get Terrence Marshall. Same type of. Do that. Don't go.
T. Higgins is a dog. Like Jamar Chase is a dog, and they still didn't win because they have no offensive line. So it doesn't matter. And they lost a top corner in William Jackson. I think he's on the Washington football team now. And he was.
I want to say they lost Phillips as well.
I can't call it, but so I would stay away from the whole division.
Yeah, that division is pretty tough in itself. If you can shop around and get a Browns win at Browns at 10, I would play the over for the Browns over 10 wins. I think they have a chance to win this division. I think the defense is going to be better. We know the morale is there, but they signed cornerback Troy Hill. I think Clowney is going to prove something this year. And I've never been big on Clowney since South Carolina, but I think this year he'll have something to prove.
Who did they sign from the Rams? The safety, the great
Troy Hill.
No, he's talking about Josh Johnson or Johnson.
Yeah, Josh Johnson. Yes. I'm sorry.
I loved what the Browns did. The way that they've addressed the squad. They're my favorite team to win the division in that division. You have a contract year for Baker. I know they're not. He said they're not talking about re-signing going into the season. So I mean, it should be a big year for him as well. Odell's back. I'm not a big believer that Odell makes everyone worse. So I think it only goes up. I think they should be fighting the Ravens both at around double digits.
So I mean, if you could shop and get a 10 out there, I like the Browns over the 10 wins. I just think they're in a good place right now. I like the coach. They stick to what they do. AFC West, let's move on. Let's kind of get through this one quick as well. Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. Chiefs have the highest win total currently on the board at 12.5. The Raiders are down there at 7. Looks like the Chargers are middle of the pack. 9.5 for the Chargers, actually. And the Denver Broncos. What are the Broncos? Anybody see that? I don't see it yet.
I want to say
8.5. Broncos is at 8.5.
8.5. I want to say 7. Okay.
And then
I know I didn't see 7 as opposed to 8.5. It might have been 7.5.
Right. So I guess we can start off with the Chiefs. I mean, what do you guys think about a 12.5 win total? Because I'm not gonna. I don't really.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah, I'm not touching that either.
I mean, personally, I would go over. I usually try to stay away from numbers like that, and I haven't looked at the numbers themselves. But the Chiefs are gonna go crazy. They've actively talked about trying to go undefeated this year. I mean, they were the best team in football last year. The whole offensive line was decimated. So they're coming back with the chip on the shoulder. And again, the best team with the best quarterback with the chip on the shoulder in a very winnable division. I mean, I would never put my bread on that under. You're basically rooting for a Pat Mahomes injury, and who wants to do that? So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think for me with this number specifically, I agree with Rome. I can't touch it just because, I mean, I think, their offensive line was decimated last time we saw them. They picked up Kyle Long. He's came out of retirement, I guess. Guard Joe Thurney I think he played for the Browns, and they traded for Orlando Brown, but he's changing the sides he plays. And my biggest concern is him. Like, you're changing your position, and then
hey, that's my old high school teammate.
I get it. All right, listen, no, I got nothing against him, but you're changing your position, and that run threat of Lamar is not going to be there. The Chiefs team don't run the ball like the Ravens did, so guys can attack you differently than they did with the Ravens. So I'm a little concerned there. I can't play over the 12.5 wins. But as far as the rest of the division, I really like the Chargers, but 9.5 is kind of
How
high
about
for
this?
me.
That's exactly why I like that over, because that line seems high.
It seems high,
but it's 9.5 for a reason.
right?
I
And
would play the over before I would ever play the under.
And they drafted offensive tackle Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, Asante Samuel Jr., Florida State. So, they did some things. They also got Jared Cook, who is apparently the worst blocking tight end maybe ever, but he can catch some passes. So,
let's talk about the Chargers being the darling, supposed to be the Cinderella team of pro football for the past 3 or 4 years. And they've lost the most games within the closest of margin of any team in pro football going in those 3 to 4 years.
Right.
And let's just pretend that they fix those problems and find ways to close games here. This is the Chargers team that's gonna get over that 9.5. And how about this? That's 9.5 in the division with the Chiefs. That line is that line for a reason. There's only one way I can play a line that's over on the Chargers.
Yeah, the rest of this division, though, Raiders, I'll lean towards the under because I don't know what they're doing out there. But Broncos, I got nothing for. I don't know what they're going to do. I think their defensively they'll be good, but quarterback's a question. Drew, what do you think about the rest of this division?
I think the Raiders are by far the worst team. I would go under on them. They're probably at 7 wins.
7, yep.
And I didn't even know that. I was just guessing. And I would probably go. The Broncos, I don't even know what the quarterback is, so I don't like betting on teams like that. I don't like betting on teams with that much gray area. The Broncos have mad talent, at least skill position wise, and got Von Miller coming back. But without a quarterback in the division with Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes, that's not a position you want to be in. So
I agree with everything Drew just said, but I kind of just want to address one thing he said. They don't not have a quarterback. They have 2 quarterbacks, and they're both professional football quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater is proven. I think
you're higher on Drew Lock than I am. I think Drew Lock's a whack.
I'm not a big Drew Lock fan, but I'm more so saying the Denver Broncos could easily be the Washington football team of last year. I mean, they got the defense, they got everything, and they have more talent than the Washington football team does on offense in terms of skill position. So
sure.
You got people coming in that elevation. That elevation alone could win you a game extra just on the year. So, like I said, I don't think they have no quarterback. I think they have 2 quarterbacks. I think whatever happens in Denver, I think Drew Lock gets another chance somewhere else. Like, I think he's one of those type of guys who just fumbles forward. And I mean, Teddy's been proven. Teddy hasn't had a down year. He's just been mediocre. So they're in a better position than the Washington football team is in terms of quarterbacks.
Yeah, when I said no quarterbacks, I just meant they don't have a guy.
Gray area.
Without a guy, that means kind of you don't have a guy.
So. Agreed.
All right, so that's the AFC West. We got 3 divisions left, gentlemen. Let's kind of sweep through these, and we're gonna cut down all these clips so we put them out individually. But AFC South, Colts, their win total is currently at 9. We know they're dealing with some issues. Quarterback and offensive guard Quentin Nelson is also out. It looks like. Titans, their number is currently sitting at 9 as well. So I don't know what's good with that. Texans, lowest number on the board at 4. Jaguars, not too up. Oh, Jaguars is 6.5. So how does the AFC South? Ron, what do you think about this division? Who would you play on?
I don't have a good feel for this division. I mean, Carson goes down the other day. Titans numbers 5 for me. Who knows what's going on in Jacksonville? Houston Texans probably the worst team for football right now. So it's just a complete stay away from the whole AFC South.
Yeah, Drew, what do you think about it?
Titans are one of the teams I bet on. I put money down already. Over 9 wins. It's still at -105 on DraftKings right now, and that's primarily a fade of the division. This is even before the Carson Wentz news. I think that Jacksonville is not good, and the Texans are the worst team. So I'm assuming that's 4 wins right there. If you can split with the Colts, that's 5 wins out of 9 right there. So I think it's more of just a fade of the division. And 9 wins is a low number. I've also put money down recently them on to win the division at -120.
Yeah, so I mean that's the AFC South for Drew. Is me as far as when I look at these numbers, I would go with the Colts under. I mean, I think they're going to struggle. Carson Wentz being out, and then he's going to have to come back, and we don't even know what type of player he is anymore. So you got to deal with all of that, and then I'm just unsure. Like offensive guard and your best lineman just went out. I just can't fade that. So I'll lean towards the under with the Colts. Titans, I would lean towards the over. I just think that they got better as far as like where they really lacked last year was the cornerback position. Picked up cornerback
Special team.
yeah, and special team. Well, yeah, special teams as well. I kind of factor in it, but their special teams is different. So they picked up cornerback Janoris Jenkins, drafted Caleb Fairley out of Virginia Tech, cornerback. Also cornerback Elijah Molden out of Washington. So and then we also know the big hoorah was wide receiver Julio Jones coming over in a deal. So I will go. I like their over the Titans over 9 as well, Drew. And then as far as the Jaguars, I would lean towards under the 6.5. Brand new quarterback, brand new coach in the NFL. Tim Tebow out there trying to do whatever. I can't fade it. So I would lean towards the under as well as 6.5. So that's my feel on that. I feel
Oh,
they could start playing better towards the end of the year, but the beginning is going to be struggling.
real quick, I did have I'm sorry. Give me 1 second, because I did have one of my favorite plays I put down recently was DJ Chark over 5 touchdowns at plus 105.
Right, he's still with Jacksonville, correct?
He's still with Jacksonville, so
And he's
think
an improving year.
He's in for a good year.
Yeah, I think he's just a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player to get a discount. Get a very down year last year. So
Yeah, he was banged up last year. All right, AFC East.
And he's
noticed.
also taking ahead. Urban Turner put on some pounds, get in shape, and he seems to be doing those things. So he seems to be making all the strides in the contract year to get that new money.
All right. So AFC East, I believe this is the last division for us. Yeah, it is. So last division. Let's start off with the Jets. Jets. Factor in the Larry David drop. But Jets, we know what they did. Quarterback Zach Wilson, they drafted, just got him signed. Wide receiver Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. Michael Carter, running back out of North Carolina. For all you fantasy football goers, he might get some run.
Number one broken tackles in college football last year.
There it is. So, and they also signed wide receiver Corey Davis, running back Tevin Coleman, Sheldon Rankins, offensive tackle Morgan Moses. But yeah, the Jets season total is at 6. Patriots, they're kind of in that no man. Well, the Patriots are actually at 9.5. We know they picked up the Hunter Henrys of the world, Jonnu Smiths, Nelson Aguilar. So they brought back Trent Brown, brought back Kyle Van Noy as well, but Cam is out there. We know Drew's not big on Cam. I'm not too big on him as well these days. So unsure about that. And then you got a rookie quarterback. But the Dolphins, got rid of Fitzpatrick. It's Tua's team. Drafted Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Roll Tide, Rome. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Also defensive end Jalen Phillips out of Miami. Picked up Will Fuller, Jason McCourty for what that's worth. Michael Pilardi, I thought that was a punter randomly. Thought that was a pretty interesting pickup because it seems like they want to play a defensive, just straight defense, possession kind of game. But as far as this division, gentlemen, who do you think over under? What are you guys feeling?
I don't have too much for this division. I would play the Packers. The Patriots over at 9.5 just because that number is high, and anything else. I don't have too much else for.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this gets to my favorite play, my favorite future. It's at 6 now. I still think it's playable, but back in May 18th to be exact, I took the Jets under 6.5 wins. I put down a lot of bread on that. Simply for the fact that I think they're gonna go defeated in the division. I don't see where a win comes from, because I think it's the worst division possible to be a rookie quarterback with subpar talent. Brian Flores, Bill Belichick, and Doug McDermott. Those are 3 of the best defensive coaches in the league. So I don't see where wins come from for the Jets. I think there is subpar talent. We did draft a couple of cats, but the offensive line still leaves a lot to be desired. Brand new head coach. We're talent deficient. And you have a rookie quarterback in a defensive coach division, to where Darnold was seeing ghosts. That's gonna be the same thing with the guy this year we drafted. So I under 6.5, under 6 wins. Anything where you see the Jets under, it's gonna be a rough year in the Meadowlands.
Yeah. So I mean, I piggyback with you on that one, Drew. I mean, even at the 6 wins, I like it under 6. So I just think Zach Wilson will kind of struggle with the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots even got back, the guys, all those guys that opted out last year are back. Dante Hightower specifically is who I'm thinking of, who runs the defense. Roll Tide again, Rome. Roll motherfucking Tide. So, I mean, I just think that this division is probably not one I want to kind of get too much involved in either, Rome. I feel similar to you. But I did want to point out fantasy football for the Dolphins. Myles Gaskin had a pretty good year last year. And they didn't make too many running back changes, not too much talent there. So he has the upper hand in the rotation. I think he could still play a valuable, person for you kind of in the later round. So wanted to throw that out there. And that's our 2021 over under episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. What's the Line podcast? Some quick notes. These two each and every Friday, or me as well, but these two are really going to be the main show. We're going to do Ante Up University. That's a college football podcast. It's going to be really short, not long like this, but we're just going to give out some best bets. I'm going to be kind of playing the role because I don't really bet college football too much. So I'll be looking for them for advice. They'll be giving you guys best bets. That's what we're going to do each and every Friday. And we also got a Monday morning podcast each and every Monday morning. And then What's the Line podcast every Thursday. Season 3 coming soon. Yeah. I gotta get you guys some new apparel. We got some season 3 apparel coming out. So it's going to be great. Let's do it. All in for September.
Let's get it.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in.